Hey guys, hope you all are doing well. This is Muzaffar or Mo, your host of the channel UL Me. And today I am all excited to be covering the history of the month of March and some of the major holidays as that fall in this month. And today also happens to be the St. Patrick's Day, so you are going to hear some of the history of St. Patrick's Day. In a couple days, there is a huge Indian festival called Holi. You're gonna hear about the history of Holi, some of the stories that are behind, as to what made Holi the festival of colors. You will also hear a little bit about the daylight saving day that is big in America, a little bit about the history about that, and then Pi Day, which just passed. All right, so I'm all excited to be covering all of this for you guys. All right, so let's start off with the history of March. March is the third month of the year and has 31 days, right? And there are a number of holidays that fall in the month of March. I think some of those that I already talked about: St. Patrick's Day, Pi Day, Daylight Saving Day, Women History Month, National Nutrition Month, American Red Cross Month, Fire Prevention Month. So these are some of the things. They're not like not all of them are major holidays, but some of the major holidays that I spoke to you about, like Holi and others, would be covered in this section of the video. All right. Um, Now, a little bit about the history of the month of March. It's quite interesting that, the name March comes from the Roman god of war, Mars. For many years, March, being the start of the spring, was also the start of the new year. Much of Europe used March as the start of the year. Britain used March 25th as the beginning of the new year until 1752. Some fun facts about the month of March before we move on to the holidays are like it is the first month of spring, which begins between March 19 and 21st. Each year, March and June end on the same day of the week. You probably not weren't aware of that, right? March Madness. I'm sure most people who are here in America or North America know about it. Is a basketball tournament played by the NCAA. Easter is sometimes celebrated in March, but for this year, Easter is in April, all right? And we will be covering Easter in the month of April. Um, in the southern hemisphere, March is the same as the September in the northern hemisphere, all right? All right, guys, now we will go and move on to the St. Patrick's Day. Of March. What you're seeing up here is some of the decoration that I had in my car for St. Patrick's Day. And today happens to be St. Patrick's Day, which is March 17th. And I, as you can see, I'm wearing a special shirt here. Who needs luck? I have charm, right? All right, guys. So what's with the color green? And some of the history of the St. Patrick's Day is what I'm going to be covering here. St. Patrick's Day celebrates the Christian saint named Patrick. Okay, and Patrick was a missionary who helped to bring Christianity to Ireland. He is the patron saint of Ireland. In the United States, the day generally celebrates the Irish American culture and heritage. All right. When is St. Patrick's Day celebrated? It is March 17. Sometimes the day is moved by the Catholic Church to avoid Easter holidays. All right. As I just spoke about that, this month Easter happens to fall on April 21st, if I'm not wrong. And who celebrates St. Patrick's Day? The St. Patrick's Day is celebrated as a religious holiday by the Catholic Church. It is also celebrated in Ireland and by Irish people around the world. Many non-Irish join in the celebrations in many places, especially in the United States. It is a public holiday in Ireland, just so you guys know. What do people celebrate? There are a number of traditions and ways to celebrate the day. For many years, the day was celebrated as a religious holiday. People in Ireland and other areas of the world went to church services to celebrate Many people still celebrate the day this way, and there are a lot of festivals and parades on this day to celebrate the Irish culture. Most major cities have some sort of St. Patrick's Day parade. The city of Chicago has a fun custom where they dye the Chicago River green each year, right? That's interesting, huh? And other fun traditions of the holiday include the shamrock, the three-leaved clover plant, Irish music played with bagpipes, eating corned beef and cabbage are some of the part of the traditions. Let's move on to the history of St. Patrick's Day very quickly, and then we will be talking about the huge Indian festival of Holi. All right, the history of St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick was a missionary to Ireland in the 5th century. There are many legends and tales about how he brought Christianity to the island, including how he used shamrock to explain the Christian Trinity. It is believed that he died on March 17, 461, a long time back. Hundreds of years later, around the ninth century, people in Ireland began celebrating the feast of St. Patrick's Day on March 17th of each year. This holiday continued as a religious holiday in Ireland for hundreds of years. All right. And the first St. Patrick Day parade was held on March 17, 1762 in New York City. In 1700s, the holiday began to become popular with Irish Americans wanting to celebrate the heritage, right? Then, before I leave the St. Patrick's Day, some fun facts about the St. Patrick's Day. Again, I think I look good with that shirt, you know. All right, fun facts about St. Patrick's Day. It was named the friendliest day of the year by the Guinness Book of World Records. Legend has it that St. Patrick stood on a hill in Ireland and banished all the snakes from the island. The fountain in front of White House is sometimes dyed green in honor of the day. Other names for the holiday include St. Patrick, St. Paddy's Day, and St. Patty's Day. In 1991, March was proclaimed Irish American Heritage Month in the United States. And also, just so you're aware, 19 presidents of the United States claim to have Irish heritage. All right, and according to some old consensus, there are like 34 million Irish Americans. I'm sure that number has gone much beyond 34 million. All right, guys, and now we will move on to the big festival, other big Indian festival, which is Holi, which is coming on March 21st of this month. All right, guys, hi. I thought of doing something fun and colorful for the month of, or for the festival of Holi. And so you see, right, all right. Holi is the annual Hindu festival which is celebrated in India, majorly in India and Nepal. It's being now celebrated all over the world during spring, and it is often referred to as the festival of colors because of traditional throwing of colored water or powder by its participants. It is often celebrated on the full moon before the beginning of vernal equinox, as based on the Hindu calendar. Since the Hindu calendar is a lunar calendar and the Gregorian calendar is a solar one, this holiday can fall anywhere between February till March. All right, so this year it's March 21st, which is a Thursday. Next year it is March 10th, which is Tuesday, and last year it was March 2nd, which was a Friday. All right, this holiday has many different it has many different reasons, but they are all pretty much related. This festival is often seen as the end of winter, the conquest of good over evil, as we'll be listening in the history, and the victory of love over hate. All right, it is seen as a day in which participants can come together, mend broken relationships, and enjoy each other in a very mirthful way. All right, now the most interestingly, I wanted to talk to you about the history of Holi, which is really interesting. And I changed a few names up here about the name of the king and his son, just to make things easier so that you can remember the story and not really associate with the names. All right. So the history of Holi, the festival of Holi, goes as um, it is. By the way, I have to tell you this. It is not exactly known when this holiday was first celebrated, but it has been celebrated since ancient times. This holiday is based on the Hindu legend that's been passed down for generations. All right. The legend goes the demon king Howard, again change named, the demon king Howard attains powers that makes him indestructible and also makes him very prideful. He begins to feel like he is a god and not only refuses to worship one of the Hindu lords, which is Lord Vishnu, but also demands that those around him worship him instead of worshipping Lord Vishnu. His son, Peter, again changed name, refused, however, and stood up to his father. This enraged the demon king, and he inflicted a lot of different punishments upon Peter. None of it swayed him from his loyalty to Lord Vishnu. Eventually, his evil aunt, Holika, from whom this holiday gets its name, tricks Peter into sitting on a pyre with her. What he didn't know, however, was that she was wearing a cloak that granted her immunity from the fire. When the fire was started, the cloak flew off of Holika and covered Peter, granting him protection from the fire. Right, and so the aunt died, and Peter survived. This enraged King Howard and attempted to strike out in anger. However, Lord Vishnu arrived in the form of Lord Narsimha, as goes the Hindu legend, and struck down King Howard, before he could harm Peter. The next day, people began to assemble at the site of the bonfire and began to apply ash on to their foreheads. So it started off with ash, and then people started taking up colors and all those things, and that is the history of Holi. All right, guys, and with that, I'm gonna come back and talk to you a little bit very quickly about the daylight saving day. A little bit about the history of daylight saving day. Daylight saving day is a way to make better use of the daylight. The idea is to advance the clock by 1 hour so that there is more sunlight in the evening and less in the morning. The daylight saving time is often observed as DST. Now, a little bit about the history of daylight saving day. Benjamin Franklin first suggested the idea of daylight saving time. He got the idea while visiting France, where people would get up earlier and go to bed earlier in order to save candles. However, it was in 1895 when the first modern day version of DST was proposed by George Hudson in New Zealand. It was later proposed in England by William Willett. In both cases, the idea was dismissed by the government. In World War One, the first country to implement daylight saving day was Germany. They implemented it to save on coal. Soon, many other European countries followed. The US adopted DST in 1918. All right, just so you know. In 2007, United States extended the daylight saving time. This moved the start date 3 to 4 weeks earlier, from the first Sunday in April to the second Sunday in March. It also moved the end date back 1 week, from the last Sunday in October to the first Sunday in November. All right. Um, all right, that's about the daylight saving day. And then a little bit about the Pi Day, which happened to be on March 14th, or which happens to be on March 14th of each month. Pi Day celebrates the number pi, also written as the Greek letter pi, right? What does Pi Day celebrate? It celebrates the number pi, obviously. I mean, I just spoke to you about guys. Who celebrates this day? Um, it's a fun day to celebrate math. It is mostly celebrated by mathematicians, math teachers, rock stars, and math students. What do people do to celebrate? People do all sorts of crazy stuff to celebrate. They learn how to calculate the circumference of a circle. They memorize the pi to the 100th digit. And they have math contests and see who can do the multiplications the fastest. So this crazy things happen. um, yeah, and some people may actually do fun stuff like having a pie eating contest with real pies such as apple or chocolate pies. Right. um, all right. The history of Pi Day goes, historians believe the number close to pi was first used to figure out the circumference of a circle around 4,000 years ago by the Babylonians. Around 200 BC, the Greek mathematician Archimedes continued to work on getting a more accurate number for pi. In the 1600s, mathematicians such as Isaac Newton used math called infinite series to get even more accurate numbers. The Greek letter pi was first used as a symbol for a number of Swiss mathemati was first used as a symbol for the number by Swiss mathematician. All right, his name is Leonhard Euler. The first organized Pi Day was in 1988 in San Francisco Exploratorium. The physicist Larry Shaw had the idea to celebrate the day by marching around a circle and then eating some pies. That's I thought that was funny. Uh, all right, some fun facts about the Pi Day as we close. Is Pi Approximation Day is held on July 22nd. By the way, if you guys are not aware, pi goes on forever. As far as we know, the number pi goes on forever. It never repeats and never ends. In math, you can use the approximation like 3.14159. Pi approximation, the MIT mails its acceptance letters to arrive on Pi Day. Interesting, right? March 22nd is also the great scientist Albert Einstein's birthday. Pi is also used to calculate the volume of a cylinder. Once in a Star Trek episode, Spook fooled an evil computer by asking it to calculate the last digit of pi. Pi is considered as an irrational number because it continues infinitely in a random sequence. All right, guys, that's all I got for this special, for the March special, covering the history of the month of March and some of the major holidays. So thank you for watching, and keep watching for more. And I'm gonna, be posting about the month of April and some of the major holidays like Easter and other holidays in the month of April. So thank you so much, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.